Welcome to Thaddaus Dawson Speaks, Liberation Through Valuation, where soul meets soil. Today, we'll be discussing our recent visit to Lamar, South Carolina, where we visited Candy Friday Farms. Rick and I went down this past week for a couple of days, and it was a great experience to see what goes on the farm. And MBGC started this series last year called Model Farm Field Days, and it is to help small and limited resource farmers to be able to gain access to the latest farming techniques. And because everybody is so isolated, the goal is to bring folks together through education and awareness to help improve operations and efficiency. So we're going to go ahead and start to discuss that. It was great. It was hot, and I think that the Nats were on their job. It got up to 98 degrees. So jump in here, Rick. Let's talk about our recent trip.
Well, yes, it was hot, and I was not aware until we got there and got out there on the farm that someone told me that the little gnat is the national bird of South Carolina. So we know now. Oh,
I know you didn't like the gnats. I wasn't really a big fan of the heat, but we survived, and we were soaking wet by the time lunch came around.
Yep. But it was a great experience to be there. And you know what amazed me the most we've been to a couple of these events is that I come from Indiana, where, it's been the tradition that a few farmers just keep buying up. They'll have 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 acres that they farm. And it's so interesting to see these farmers who there are a lot of farmers who do in this organization that have 4,000 acres or more, but it's also neat to see smaller farms of 400, 500, 250 acres that are being so successful. That's really neat to me.
Yeah. And they have different techniques and different resources, and the education and the awareness that there was South Carolina State Ag Extension was there, Clemson's Ag Extension was there, John Deere was there, a couple other suppliers were there. Just the educational outreach. It was good to see NRCS South Carolina was there, FSA was there. It was just a plethora of information to help these small and limited resource farmers to be able to take advantage of some of these resources, crop insurance opportunities. There was a company there that provided drilling services, drone services, the modernization and the technology that's available. So it was a wonderful thing to see all these opportunities. I think we have to. I think Mr. Friday, Candy Friday, did a remarkable job. The way everything was laid out, it was well organized. It was very well put together, and it was very well attended, especially for it to be damn near 100 degrees. So I think that, plenty of hydration, water was available, Gatorade, they had cooling towels, but there's no real defense for the heat. And I know you always want the perfect production, so I was hot, and I think I took one interview up under the tent, but the lighting was bad, so you had a fit about that. And before I go any further, I want to congratulate you on your recent appointment to the City of Atlanta public TV station. And go ahead and tell people about that and where they can find you at your new big time position.
And thank you for mentioning that, but I'll switch that around a little bit and take it away from me. But no, Atlanta, well, a lot of cities back in the 70s and 80s and 90s had public access channels on their cable systems. Well, we've kind of moved beyond all of that now, and a lot of these survived, and Atlanta's did, and all over the country. Now that we have less in newspapers, local journalism, and locally produced programs, there's a real resurgence in this. And I was lucky enough now to be able to be appointed to the board, the advisory board for our local new reimagined public access. We call it community media now all over the country. So this is a great thing, but I say it because it's a reminder to people who watch your program from anywhere that a lot of your cities still have these public access, public media, community media channels. And it might be a good place for, if you'd ever like to have this program sent to any of those, we could make those arrangements to do that. And your public radio too. You know, we already do that with WUTU
in Albany,
Georgia. In Albany, Georgia.
That might be another way that we can help promote MBGC in those communities, because the key is getting the information to the farmers and the landowners, and also to the heirs property owners as well. So this is another opportunity for us to be able to expand our outreach, and as we travel. So they've got another Model Farm Day coming up in Mississippi, and I believe that is going to be hosted by Christy Bland Miller. She's a 4th generation farmer. And they focus on rice and soybean. And then Mr. Ronald Bunton, there in Woodburn, Kentucky, their Model Farm Field Day is going to be September the 4th in Woodburn, Kentucky. And we've been invited to speak and present there on heirs property, which I'm really excited about. We're going to try to get to the Marks, Mississippi, but that's going to be a busy week for both of us. I know we'll be at the SCLC convention in Tampa, and I will be leaving you in Tampa to go to Tunica, Mississippi, to the Congressional Black Caucus meeting there. And so while I'm there, hopefully I'll be able to get to the Model Farm Field Day in Marks. So we got a lot of travel coming up, and it's pretty busy.
Yeah. You know, I didn't know this the past weekend. We were so close. We were only like 45 minutes away from Myrtle Beach. Why didn't you take us on down to Myrtle Beach to relax on the ocean for a few days?
Yeah, that's just me and not planning, Rick, because I had my thong on standby, and next time we go to South Carolina, as a matter of fact, that's all we really needed at the farm, minus the gnats.
Yeah, no, I knew it was great at the farm. I shouldn't have taken you away from that direction. It was great to see. And I know that Mr. Candy, he did all kinds of no-till farming, which, a lot of farmers do. And I'm not a farmer, so I can't speak to that. And we got to see the drones, this much larger drone, which just, can supply whatever kind of fertilizer, whatever they supply with that very quickly. All over the fields, and they did a demonstration of that. Just remarkable stuff going on.
Yeah, and between us learning and interviewing, we're going to have to get Mr. Candy onto the show, because we didn't get an opportunity to interview him. He was extremely busy, and then I think by the time we got around to it, I was worn out and exhausted, and the heat that heat was no joke. The food was excellent. It was just too hot to eat.
But let me ask you something about this, because, you talk a lot about heirs property and the importance of this for those maintaining that generational wealth. I was surprised to learn from some of the state involved folks at this farm that South Carolina's kind of stepped up to the plate on this heirs property situation.
Well, they had the large, so the heirs property center is housed in South Carolina with Miss Jenny Stevens, and they just recently passed some legislation, and that was the Laura Gullah Geechee Queen. Luana Graves worked on that bill in conjunction with Jenny Stevenson, and they have done an excellent job. And so we were fortunate to have both of them at our appraisal policy summit in Atlanta. And so we have relationships with both of those organizations, and we'll be working with them both moving forward in this heirs property. And right now, I believe they're organizing heirs property conglomerate, so to speak. I forget the name of it. I just got the information, but we'll definitely be participating. And of course, we work around the valuation space and the fractionated interest and bringing awareness in heirs property. So that is huge for us. And in the appraisal modernization bill, road to access, that just passed by bipartisan legislation last week, that will definitely be a lane that we will be moving down, which we have already opened the door. We've been at the forefront of the appraisal modernization process, utilizing reconsideration of value as a key for wealth preservation. And that's based on FHFA 2407 that stated 90% of all appraisals did not utilize market conditions adjustments, which has a disproportionate impact causing systemic indifference. But you put that systemic indifference and disproportionate impact on steroids when we start talking about heirs property. So us being in South Carolina was really really apropos, and they're doing some really great things, and we are really glad to be a part of it. It was really good. We got to interview the executive director, Dr. Don Melion. We got to interview Mr. Otis Hill of Louisiana, and actually we got to celebrate Mr. Hill's birthday. Happy birthday again, Mr. Hill. So it was good to be able to spend time with them. We got to meet Mr. Bunton in Kentucky. So we'll be going to his model farm field days. We got to meet, we already know Warren James out of Georgia and his cousin, Mr. James. So we got to see those James boys. And there's just a lot of exciting things to see, the resources that are available for folks to be able to educate and empower themselves, because a lot of farmers are really struggling, and there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of uncertainty. So to be able to be amongst your peers, to learn best practices, and then the importance of the intergenerational commitment. Again, I always talk about farming and appraising are the two least diverse professions in the country. They're 1 and 2, and they share the same demographics. Over 85% of the appraisal industry is over 60 years old. Those numbers cross over into farming as well, and less than 7% are under 35 years old. So there's nobody coming to replace those positions, which is what we testified to in our Agrippa hearing, and our solution that is the Appraisal Land Grant Modernization Act, which I wrote and submitted to the Federal Reserve. And so we're really excited about that, to enhance our appraisal apprenticeship program across the land grant spectrum. Again, we have the only certified appraisal apprenticeship program in the country through the Department of Labor. Let me say we have the only 2. We were awarded the 2-year program under the Biden administration in 2024, and we were just awarded the 4-year program under the Trump administration on April the 7th. So we have really, and again, 10,000 Appraisers Foundation is 3 years old, and we just opened a National Appraisal Policy Resource Center. So the baby is up and walking. We made it past the terrible 2s with a lot of bruised knees and scuff marks, but we're getting upright and starting to find our stride.
And with the national, the internship program, now that's going to be important because there are some major changes coming up in appraisal industry. Right?
So, yeah, we had the bipartisan legislation that just passed, appraisal modernization, road to access, and that passed without the president's signature, but it had with the 10-day rule, it had support from the House and the Senate, and so that is now law. And that was our one of our number one pillars in modernization was codification and reconsideration of value, and now that is law. However, the infrastructure doesn't exist to really make it effective. And that is one of the pillars that we have worked on. So we will be working diligently to help to educate folks on that process across the different agencies. So before it was only affordable to the Veterans Administration, now it's affordable to USDA, FSA, and other governmental agencies. But it only goes across the residential spectrum. So we will be pushing further and meeting with legislators in order to help advance the understanding and the impact. So this was a part of what I testified to on March 26th with the Agrippa hearing. So we'll be in Tunica at the policy summit, and we will be working with the various legislators across the country to give them understanding on infrastructure and implementation. This is the most significant appraisal legislation in the last 40 years. So this is what needs to happen. Oh, and I almost, you let me go on and keep running my mouth and not talk about our upcoming appraisal policy modernization summit in Cincinnati.
I was going to mention that. I was going to ask you about that, because that's going to be a great thing, because like the one you just had here in Atlanta, which was extremely successful, both people in the industry and just general folks can come and learn a lot, because it's,
Well, why Cincinnati is so significant, everything appraising comes out of Cincinnati. The appraisal profession itself was born in Cincinnati in 1932. And
really?
So, and the appraisal process has not changed since 1932. They still work on comparable sales analysis, and the essence of the comparable sales is comp selection and paired sales analysis. So this is part of the reason why the profession has been somewhat stagnant, and modernization is where it's at through evidence-based, data-driven analysis. But the education needs to be able to change to catch up with the technology. So on October 22nd through the 24th, we will be in Cincinnati. Again, the appraisal profession was born in Cincinnati in 1932. That's another piece of miscellaneous trivia that.
And nothing's really changed. Nothing's really changed that. You haven't even aged that much since 1932.
Yeah, well, I was around in 1932, and I'm almost sure there was nobody that looked like me at that first appraisal meeting in 1932. And that's been 94 years. So to be able to bring that modernization back to Cincinnati is really exciting for me. And we are solidifying the location. There were a few people here from Cincinnati that were at the policy summit, and we're really excited about us moving it up to Cincinnati. And so we've been able to work out some kinks. But again, the significance for Cincinnati is really huge, because Cincinnati is pretty much where a lot of the governmental agencies in the surrounding area perfected the wealth extraction mechanisms, mainly the Federal Highway and Transportation Department. Cincinnati I-75 broke up the largest dispossession of homeowners ever in the country. A little less than 27,000 people were displaced. 97% of those people were Black. Wow. And so that was I-75 going through the West End. And then I-71 broke up Evanston on, that's a little bit east of 75, I believe. And it broke up a community called Evanston and Walnut Hills. And to the north, a little bit after that, it's called Ronald Reagan Highway now. It broke up a community called Hazelwood. So again, all these things have been affected by policy. And these are the things that the appraisal policy is the modernization will be able to help arrest the erosion of wealth in this space and some of the things that we're focusing on.
Okay, very good. Because that's good. And you have a couple people in Cincinnati that's really going to make this happen. This is going to be a good.
Oh yeah. Voice of Appraisal podcast. When we were on the road coming back from South Carolina, Phil Crawford called and he checked in and he's really excited. Phil is he came to the policy summit, and as you know, we joke back and forth that Phil has a #1 appraisal podcast in the country, and we tell him that we're coming for the #1 spot. Him and Kevin do an excellent job and have a great time doing it. And some of his contributions, he is big on data cancer, and that's he feels that some of the the appraisal waivers cause higher valuations and impact neighborhoods disproportionately, and he refers to it as data cancer, and he has another theory about social depreciation. So we'll be able to cover some of those topics and basically talk about some solutions. And I think if we start to look at the appraisal modernization and using the data science and evidence-based data analysis, those anomaly closings don't become quite as impactful as the market, as opposed to one sale being able to set and manipulate a market. And I believe he has a couple of case studies that he's worked on. But again, this is all a part of modernization and possibly unintended consequences that the profession needs to learn and discuss on how we do it so it doesn't have the level of impact that was unintended.
Okay, very good. Very good. Wow. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. But
I know give you a chance to be close to home. So I'm sure you'll make a trip home while we're there.
Yeah, I just my home originally, and I still have my home there, is just about 90 minutes north, straight north on the Indiana-Ohio state line. Yep.
Okay.
So
well, definitely have to get that. And again, we had some really amazing interviews, and I'm excited. Also, what else did we? The national. Their national meeting is in December, and it will be in North Carolina this year, NBGC's national meeting, and they have secured none other than Queen Sugar herself, Miss Natalie Bazille, to be the keynote speaker. I was kind of thinking it was going to be me, but it's not. So, but I am a big fan of Natalie Bazille. And she just recently made a documentary about the Nelson brothers that debuted at Tribeca, which, as you know, I wasn't invited to, but hopefully I'll be around for the next round and for the edited version.
You weren't invited? Maybe they sent me my invitation and it was meant to go to you.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened. But mine got lost in the mail. But you know, it's one of those things. But none other than I'm just really proud of them damn Nelson boys and what they've been able to do. And I'm really excited for the future NBGC with Willis Nelson at the head. They bring a lot of great energy, ideas, work ethic, and to see 4 generations of Nelson brothers. I know Willis and his brothers have their kids involved now, so that's the 4th generation, and seeing them be interactive with the process is very encouraging.
Yeah, and they are,
and that is what it is.
They are remarkable.
Absolutely.
Not only that they took a small farm and turned it into 4,000 acres now, but that these brothers can. How many brothers are there now? That they all work together so well.
Courtney, I think it's 4 of them.
4 of them. That's what I thought. But
Adrian,
they work so well together. They do. They work so well together. They make it work, and they are remarkable young men.
And there's opportunities for everybody in the space just to be able to find your lane, in which I know one of them works on equipment, one of them works on marketing, and they just do different things. And their 4,000 acres are not contiguous, so they have different sites that they manage, as well as different crops. So I don't know how Willis keeps up with the travel and demand of the organization, and he always picks up the phone when I call. So I can't be too mad that I was out of the loop for Tribeca. I guess I'll get over it, and I'll watch it when it gets to well, not DVD, but Netflix or somewhere. So
Are you still a DVD guy? Do you have DVDs?
no,
Beyond
no. I
DVDs?
was just having a brain fart. Everybody is streaming now. I don't have any, even though I had like a 360 changer, but disc player, but no, all of that is obsolete. That's gone the way of the 8-track, Rick. I think you're starting to reveal your
What?
age here.
You don't do 8 tracks anymore?
No. We let the 8 tracks go. As a matter of fact, I did have one in my old school car, but all the tapes had dry rotted out. I think I might even still have a couple in the trunk.
Okay. Can I borrow your car then? Just give me your car. I still got 8 tracks that work. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, you probably still got a reel to reel too.
I do have.
And I know that you've got an extremely busy schedule and
Yeah.
have got a lot going on. So I know we'll probably get the interviews uploaded on the YouTube channel later in the week when you had some
Yeah.
time to catch your breath. I know between the Atlanta Public Access and a couple other major projects that you're working on. So I'm not going to hold you any longer today. We're going to keep this short. Anything else you want to add
No,
for this
no,
week's episode?
just that it was an exciting time to see what the farmers are doing and the organization, and it's always a pleasure and an experience to travel with Thaddaus Dawson, because you never know what you're going to get into, but it's always something good.
Well, I thank you for being gracious in conducting the interviews. I think I almost should give you some battle or hazard pay this weekend for the Heat and the Nats. but your hotel room had hot water this time.
It did. It did. We're good. We're 2 out of 2 now on hot water. Yes, we're good.
Yeah, we had a bad run with hot water last year. And not to mention, you smell a little better this year as a result of us getting that hot
Thank you.
water.
I appreciate that.
Hot water straightened out. So,
We appreciate that.
well, that's it for this week's episode of Thaddaus Dawson Speaks, Liberation Through Valuation, where soul meets soil. We'll be writing. I got articles coming out, Code Red 3, redlining and the wealth gap or health gap. So I'm really excited. August looks like the train's going to be up and running, and we've got a lot of traveling coming up. Southern Christian Leadership Conference in Tampa, I believe that's August 5th through 7th, August 6th through 9th, Tunica, Mississippi, Congressional Black Caucus Policy Summit, Model Farm Field Day in Mississippi on August the 7th. Then we have another Model Farm Field Day with NBGC in Kentucky on September the 4th. Meanwhile, we'll be traversing back and forth to Cincinnati, setting up our National Crazy Policy Resource Center Summit, as well as writing and implementing programs. The students are doing well at this year's Forest Service internships. I talked to Mr. York. Students are really thriving this year. We only placed, I believe it was 17 students this year, where we have been able to get 21 students in 24 and 25. So I'm just encouraged and thankful and hopeful for the opportunity. Again, thank you for tuning in to Thaddaus Dawson Speaks, Liberation Through Valuation, where soul meets soil. We will be continuing to do our our heirs property training, and keeping all the rest of our programming up and running and bringing it to you as we are developing our new website for the National Appraisal Policy Resource Center. Again, thank you. Please like, share, subscribe. Thaddaus Dawson Speaks, TD Speaks at Substack, or you can find us on Facebook as well as on LinkedIn.
Don't get left behind. Preserve